Hi, everyone. My name is Cassidy, and I'm 15. I have my best friend, Angela. I had, because since recently, we are no longer friends. To be honest, it's her who screwed everything up, and I miss her badly, but I can't forgive her for actually ruining my family. You will soon see what I am talking about. First of all, it's not just that Angela and I have been friends since early childhood, but our families have actually also been really close. We would celebrate holidays together and barbecue on the weekends and so on. But a couple of years ago, Angela's parents decided to move to another city in search of new job opportunities and a better life. So we were forced to part with one another, and it was pretty sad. Even though we kept writing to each other and calling and everything, it was not the same as if she were close to me. But one evening she called me crying and said that they found out that her dad was cheating on her mom, and she figured it out and filed for divorce. I could only imagine how hard it was for her to cope with this news. We were on the phone like the whole night, and I was really trying to be supportive. I tried to imagine my own reaction if one day my parents would decide to divorce, and I thought that it would probably be the hardest and most unfair thing in the world. But you can't have the good without the bad, you know? And soon after that night-long talk, Angela called me to say that she and her mom decided to come back to our town and to their old life. Oh, this was really exciting. Of course it was bad that our parents were no longer together, but I was extremely happy that I was going to get my bestie back. More than that, we were finally going to be able to study together in the same school. And that was really something we'd been dreaming about for a long time. I wish I knew back then that Angela was no longer the Angela that I had been friends with. It was the first day of high school for us, and Angela was dying to make friends with other girls, and badly wanted to know how to become part of the squad, to become popular and interesting for the boys. I'd always felt more comfortable being less popular and having much less attention directed toward me, but I decided to be supportive of Angela and accompany her to every single movie trip with the guys from school, and we went to every single party and so on. And you know what I noticed? She behaved pretty provocatively in public, laughed loudly and a little unnatural, and constantly tried to make everybody around her laugh. And it would be nothing if she hadn't tried to insult me in order to seem more interesting to others. I'll be more specific here. Once, during another party at our classmate's house, I found Angela surrounded by a group of gossip, and they were definitely having fun together. I thought she might be telling a joke or something, but as soon as I approached them, I heard her telling an embarrassing story from her past. Once, a few years ago, I first met Angela's cousin Rod. He was a little bit older than me and was totally into boat racing. So he was tall and really strong. Oh, and really handsome. He was just the embodiment of the Prince Charming fantasy for me, so to speak. Of course, I fell in love with him, and you could be sure that Angela was aware of it. So once, during another family gathering thing, we set up a plan that I would volunteer to help Angela and her mom in the kitchen. And then, while bringing snacks to the guests, I'd stop next to Rod and have a nice talk with him. I was afraid to do it without any proper reason. I was too shy to just go up to him and start talking. And the plan would have worked out if it was not for that clumsy dog who smelled the mini hot dogs on my tray. So when I was passing by the pool right on my way to Rod, that stupid dog, a Labrador, stood on his hind legs, knocked me off balance, and pushed me right into the pool. Rod couldn't stop laughing. I'd swear that he even laughed so hard he was crying. I have never been that embarrassed in my life. Of course, I made Angela promise that she would never ever tell a soul about that. And now, guess what? She had told every single detail of that day to those girls, so that when it came up, they were not only giggling at me, but one of them even made a few comments about it, and even tried to act out the very situation of me falling down into the pool, which she, I guess, thought was even more humiliating than the story itself. Oh, I definitely saw in their eyes how impressed they were about Angela's funny little stories and how she herself was so satisfied with this attention. Well, this kinda irritated me back then, but as soon as Angela noticed me and understood that I'd heard everything she was saying, she gave me that begging look as if she were trying to tell me to shut up. Then she immediately grabbed my elbow, drew me aside, and begged me for forgiveness. She said she was really enjoying all the attention, and that she decided that a tiny piece of outdated information wouldn't hurt and promised to never do it again. I agreed to play things cool, this time. Later on, after that talk, Angela no longer talked about me with other people, which really calmed me down. Everybody seemed to forget what she had already told them about my embarrassing childhood, and I no longer heard people mocking me. But now we were actually approaching the very point of this story. The situation I am going to tell you about right now literally ruined everything between us. One day, Angela dropped by my place, looking pale and totally lost. I got really worried, because I've never seen her that shaken before. She said that she had something to tell me, privately. I tried to make a joke and asked if she was pregnant, but to my deepest surprise, she said that she was not, but someone really was expecting a baby. We went to my room and Angela locked the door with a key to prevent my mom from entering the room, to ask whether we were up to eat something, like she usually did, and told me the most shocking news I've ever heard. Angela was at home when her mom's cell rang, and since it was lying next to Angela, she decided to look and see who was calling, and surprisingly found my dad's name on the display. She decided to pick it up and say that her mom was somewhere outside and that she was going to bring her the phone. But even before she had a chance to say a word, my dad began whispering rapidly something about the pregnancy and that he was really happy to hear that and stuff. Then he urgently hung up the phone as if he no longer had time to speak, and right at that moment, Angela's mom walked in. Angela demanded an explanation and her mom was apparently caught off guard, so she had nothing to do but to admit that she had been having an affair with my dad ever since they moved back into our town, and that now she was in her 6th week of pregnancy, and he promised to leave his family, which meant my mom and I for her. Of course this news was really shocking. I couldn't believe what Angela had just said, and I was sitting there trying to figure out whether she and everything she just told me was real. Cause, everything sounded like complete nonsense, and I suspected that she knew more than she was letting on. Then I asked Angela how long she had known that. Oh, even now it's hard to say that my dad was in a relationship with her mom, and the answer was for a couple of months. She said she decided to tell me everything since things had gotten really serious with the pregnancy. What? She easily revealed my secret about childhood to total strangers just like that, and was hiding this extremely important truth from me, her best friend, for weeks? Oh, this made me furious. You can be sure that I told her everything I was thinking about her and her mom. She kept saying that she was really sorry and even started to cry, but I just kicked her out of my house. I'm not going to tell you how hard it was to wrap my mind around the fact that my daddy was a cheater, and even more, that he was going to leave me and my mom for my used-to-be best friend and her family. Trust me, it was unbearable, and I tortured myself for 2 days trying to decide whether I should tell my mom about everything or not. I just couldn't believe that after Angela's mom experienced pretty much the same thing herself with her own family, how she could do this to another family, to my family. At some point, my mom began asking what had happened between Angela and I and stuff. Apart from that, honestly, I couldn't look into my dad's eyes. Anytime he kissed my mom on her cheek when leaving for work, or when he hugged her to thank her for dinner, I felt how much I hated him for his betrayal. So I decided that it was beyond my strength to keep this secret from my mom. And one evening, when Dad was assumingly at a late business meeting, I told her that we needed to talk. You're never gonna guess how she reacted. It turned out that she already knew everything, and that she and my dad were in counseling right now, and both of them were willing to save their family. I mean, our family. They were just keeping everything a secret from me, to keep me from being worried. Now, this time, I really felt betrayed. It turned out that I was literally the only one who knew nothing about what was going on inside my own family, and it was more than offensive. I ran out of the house and felt that I strongly needed somebody to be there for me, to calm me down and to tell me that everything was gonna be okay. Problem is that the only person I used to have for that was Angela, with whom I'm still really angry. Now, tell me how you feel about all of this down in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Something tells me that this is not the end of this story.